don't know what that means.
Oh, this
All
meeting
right.
is being recorded.
All
Are we
right,
ready?
Amy.
Are we going? Hey,
We're
guys.
recording.
All right. Well, welcome to our newest podcast, Laughing Our Way Through Escrow. My name's Amie Bullock. I'm a licensed real estate agent out of Oregon, Central Oregon to be specific. And this is my friend Kim.
Hi, I'm Kim Inocente. I'm a licensed real estate agent in Los Angeles County, primarily serving Santa Clarita and Antelope Valley.
Yeah, girl. Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Sorry. I feel like we should talk real quick about how we met and
Yes.
like why we're doing this podcast.
Yes. I met Amy because we had a mutual client. I was selling a property for my client who lives in Santa Clarita, and Amy was helping him purchase a property in Central Oregon. And so we had to communicate a lot, and she was very easygoing, easy to get a hold of. And she didn't freak out when we had delays, as you typically do sometimes that are just out of your control. So I was like, oh, this girl's cool. So we've just been in contact
Or
ever
at
since.
least you couldn't see me freak out.
Maybe, yeah. But you were very nice. You know how some agents are. They just kind of wig
Yeah.
out on you on the phone. And I think that was in like 2019.
That was a while ago.
Yeah,
And I
it's been a
still
minute.
have moments where, like, especially now that we're doing this podcast, I laugh because we have actually never met in person.
Never.
Never.
You
We
never
just
zoomed.
had, yeah, we just had like you meet some agents that turn into referral partners. Like you're obviously my
Yes.
referral partner for LA County.
Same.
And you do a deal with them and the transaction doesn't matter how smooth or how sideways it goes. The transaction just kind of creates this friendship because at some point you're
Yes.
just trying to get through it. And what's funny is I'm thinking about this right now, and one of my closest friends in the industry right now is one of the agents in my office, and we ended up bonding over a terrible transaction that went sideways 5 days
Oh,
before escrow was supposed to.
really?
We didn't even make it to the closing table. The transaction didn't close. But during the whole process, we were probably in escrow for almost 45 days and things were just popping up and both of us
Uh,
were just sighing and talking about how we just need a drink so bad throughout the whole thing. And now we work together and it's just been, I feel like sometimes these transactions are where you create, like you learn what agents you like really get along with and
yeah.
work well with. So I got to
Yeah.
meet Kimberly on one of those transactions. Our client closed on the property up here. They closed on the property with Kimberly, and we both realized we would prefer wearing Converse to showings
Yes,
versus
very much
heels.
so. Yeah. I don't like to dress up at all.
Yeah, me
I heard
either.
a phrase that was like professionally casual, and I was like, I think that describes me. I
Yeah,
just want to
me
wear
too.
tennis shoes and jeans, and I'm still going to work super hard and do a great job, but it just feels more natural than a
I
suit.
love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Okay, so where do you want to go from here?
Well, do you want to start and you can tell them about yourself, some stuff like how long you've been in the industry? I know you're a mom, things like that.
Oh yeah, totally. Okay, so I got my license January 2019. Um, I don't really, it just kind of, well, the reason I got my license is the first time I bought my first ever house in general. I had a terrible, the listing agent was horrendous, misrepresented the property. I ended up uh, filing a formal complaint against the agent because it was so bad of a transaction. And I didn't learn how bad of a transaction it was until I went into the industry and got into the industry. But it was such a terrible experience for me as a buyer back then that I remember telling my husband, like, if this is going to happen, it's not going to happen on my watch. And I might as well just get my license because this is stupid for anybody to
Really?
have a terrible experience at real estate. Yeah. The agent just was not, forthcoming with property information. She improperly listed the property. I thought I was buying half an acre. I found out I was only buying a quarter of an acre right before closing. And then she tried to say, well, I'll give you $700 of my commission for that that quarter acre. And I was like, are you telling me I could buy that lot for $700? Because if that's what you're telling me, I
Yeah.
will absolutely buy that lot for $700. Well, no, she um, just completely misrepresented the listing. And I didn't even realize that that's like a big no-no until I got my real estate license.
Yeah.
And
Big.
how big of a no-no
Big.
that is. It's huge. But anyways, that's really why I got my license in the first place. We moved to Central Oregon. I got licensed and I just kind of hit the ground running in a town that I didn't know anybody in, and I had to start my business from scratch. And I'm very proud of what it has become from all of that. Not easy work by any means, and I definitely have days where I sit there like, why am I doing this? But it's been fun, and with two kids and two
Mhm.
dogs and a husband that works quite a bit too, it's been very flexible for me in my lifestyle.
Yeah.
I just kind of realized it's actually quite enjoyable if I can laugh my way through escrow.
There you go. What's your craziest story?
Oh man, this is hard. I've had I think every agent has quite a few crazy stories. I do like my most, and it wasn't even with me. The one story that pops out the most is I was calling my friend Molly about showing a property, and she was like, she answered the phone and she was like, hey dude, what's up? And I was like, hey, can I show your listing on so and so? She was like, yeah, but I can't get confirmation right now. I'm at a house right now. We're trying to figure out if the seller's inside and passed out or passed away. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, I think we might have a seller that has died inside his house right now. And I was like, oh my God. And she's like, cops are on their way. We're gonna try and get into the house.
Oh
I
my gosh.
I need to press pause and get back to you. And I'm like, dude, take your time. You take your time. You do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
Um, Turns out the seller was not dead inside his house. He just went for a walk and didn't tell anybody. And
Oh, good.
he was also elderly, so that made everybody like freak out. And he also never goes on walks without his cell phone or dog. But just that moment in time, he decided to go on a walk by himself and leave his phone and his dog at the house. And he scared everybody.
Yeah.
And his agent hadn't heard from him in like 3 days. I forgot about that part. I was like, oh,
Oh my
God.
gosh.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that is actually, yeah, that would be scary.
that's the wild story that always pops up in my head.
Yeah.
What about you? Tell me a little bit about you.
Yes. Okay. So I have been a licensed agent for 9 years. I started out at a very small brokerage. I was there for about a year and a half, 2 years. And then I moved to where I am now. I'm a mom to a 4-year-old. I'm married. And let's see. Oh, I can tell you a crazy story. So, one of my craziest stories is I had this really nice seller, and this was like first 2 years in working as an agent. And we were getting ready to close. We were supposed to close on a Friday, so they had a final walkthrough on like a Wednesday. And of course, we had a delay. Speaking of delays, and it was just the bank. They were taking a while to do whatever, so they had to push it to the following week. So my seller had moved most of his stuff out, but he was still taking his time. You know, we hadn't closed yet. He calls me and he says, I came home to get the rest of my stuff, and the buyers have moved in. He go- he goes inside. This poor guy. I love him too. They had painted. I don't know how
They had
long they
already
had been there.
painted?
They were starting to paint. They were having basically a dinner party. They had like foldable tables out. They had just, there's tons of people in there. He sent me pictures. There's a lady drinking wine, the whole thing. They moved all of his stuff out to the side because he had like an RV access kind of a thing. And I think it had rained.
Oh my God.
he was like, I was like, please don't fight anybody. Like, he's like, I'm gonna call the cops. And we dealt with it and it closed. But like, I was like, oh my God, I don't want anybody to go to jail. Like, what do you do?
So they had
They
come in
took
before
possession.
escrow
The
had
agent
closed.
was like, when they apparently, and it's funny because he's like a big agent in this place. Um, which was shocking to me. But he said, here's the key at the final walkthrough. Just go on Friday.
Oh
My seller went on Friday because we weren't supposed to close till like Monday or Tuesday or something, and they would moved in. And I was like,
oh
you can't do that.
my God.
Yeah. So I've had some other interesting things, but that is definitely one that will always stick out in my mind. And now after the final walkthrough, like I am like, is that key back in there? Like I kind of
Oh, I get that.
am a little
I
paranoid
get
about that.
did I ever tell you the story of when a listing flooded? One of my listings
No,
flooded. Sorry to add to this, but
no,
it
I want to hear.
forgot about this one. I had someone referred a seller to me, and the situation was that the actual sellers had passed away, and they gifted the property to a nonprofit, and the nonprofit was ready to sell the property, but the property needed to be emptied because it still had their stuff in it, and it needed to be emptied and cleared out and cleaned and all that stuff. So we I get all of the paperwork completed, and we give it about 2 months for
Mhm.
before we go live, to make sure the house gets cleaned, to make sure the property gets cleaned up, and to make sure everything is like good, because we had to hire third parties to come do the cleanings, to come do the hauling of all of the stuff inside, everything. And so we finally go live on a Friday afternoon.
Mhm.
And the first showing was right off the bat Saturday morning at like 8 a.m. I drove out to my office, which at this point in time, my office was about a 30-minute drive for me. Drive out
Mhm.
to my office for something that morning, and I'm halfway home. And the agent that is showing the property calls me up, and she's like, "Hey, do you know that your listing is flooding right now?" And I'm like, what?
No.
No, clearly I do not know it's flooding. Is it really flooding? And she's like, yeah, we just opened up the door and water came flowing out, and we found there was a spigot in the washer dryer room. The washer and dryer had gotten detached and removed, and somehow we thought the water had been shut off. The water was either turned on, or someone somehow at some point the water got turned on. We've never been able to figure out how this happened, but the valve to the washer had been fully opened and had been flowing all night. And we just assumed it was all night.
Yeah.
And so when I turned around, got to the house, there was about an inch and a half of water throughout most of the house.
Oh my
And
gosh.
we immediately had to pull the listing and hire a remediation company to come in, which delayed us going live by another like month and a half.
More delays.
More delays. We had to pull out all the linoleum. We had to pull out all the
Yeah.
carpet. We had to pull everything out, and it turned into something that could have been financed to a property that could only be financed with like a conventional loan or cash, because we had to. It was just at one point, it was just down to the subfloor in a good chunk of the house because it
My
was
God.
so bad.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
but that's the stuff that happens in
It
real estate.
happens.
It's all out of your control.
It is. It is. And it's when once you let go of that and you just kind of figure out how to fix the problems, I think it goes a lot easier because so many things can happen.
Oh my God.
So many.
I think it's comical. I think one thing that I'm super excited about this podcast is being able to share a bunch of stories like this, because
Mhm.
it it truly is like when you threw out the name Laughing Through Escrow, like I sat there and I was like, that's absolutely how I'm surviving this industry. Yes,
Yeah,
we
you
are
have
doing
to
that.
laugh. Yeah,
That's
you do.
if you can't laugh, then you're probably Very,
It's going to be
very,
hard.
very, very stressed out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
okay, so let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Um, how, like, what's your favorite thing about real estate and what is your least favorite thing about real estate?
Okay. So my favorite thing is, and it sounds cheesy, but like helping the people. It doesn't matter how terrible a transaction goes. Like when you can congratulate a seller so that they can either upgrade to their next home or, retire out of state, or a first time buyer, and you give them keys, all of like the stress that you may have absorbed for that client and all the stuff you dealt with, it just goes away, and it's like the most giddy feeling. It's like I did that, like I helped them. Like it is honestly such a good feeling. So that would be my most favorite thing. My least favorite thing is dishonest agents. And I don't like the showboaterness of like the culture of the industry feels a little flashy to me, and I don't resonate with that. I wear Converse and buy my clothes at Target, and I'm not like that. So that'd be my least favorite thing, but I like helping the people.
The
The
people,
people.
yeah.
The people. Yeah, but it's like just so cool. Like it's just like such a proud, like I don't know, like it's like the best. Like I like the whole way home after like giving keys, I'm just like smiling. Like it's fun.
It
It's
feels
fun.
good to get the
And
paycheck
it's cool too,
after all
because
the work.
yeah, and it's cool too. I mean, even like I've had some clients that have like become my like actual friends.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
like that's like even better. I'm like, I wouldn't have never known you otherwise. And now like I see you like a couple times a month and we go out to lunch, or a couple of them I started a book club, like they joined my book club. Um, I don't know, it's just fun. It is honestly like the coolest job.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when
What about
you
you?
to piggyback off of all of that, what area, because to me, when I think of LA County, I think of Los Angeles, California directly. What exactly like do you cover? What are your covering counties or cities?
Yeah, so I am like northern LA County. So I can, Ventura is not too far. Ventura County line. Kern County line is like an hour and a half away. Everything else for Los Angeles is like south of me. So I can mostly go anywhere in LA County. I have even gone as far as like San Bernardino County. Like yesterday, I went to Ontario, which is on a good day, an hour, 15 minutes with no traffic. Took me forever to get home. But I'll go to those areas too, just kind of depends, but mostly Santa Clarita, Antelope Valley, and then like the San Fernando Valley is where I hang, unless someone has a specific request.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, it's a big area. I was driving home yesterday and I was just kind of looking off the freeway, and I'm like, it never, like, like that concrete jungle song. I'm like, it literally, like, it just never ends. Like, it's so big. It's so big. It's really crazy. But yeah.
I have zero concept of size, and I've only driven through Los Angeles once, and that
Oh,
was God, that was back in like 2011.
oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah, I was moving from Portland. I was living in Portland. I was moving back home to Texas,
Uh-huh.
and we just hit the highway south to San Diego, and then from San Diego over.
Mm-hmm.
And we drove through LA, like went down um, Rodeo Drive. Like I saw Rodeo Drive for the first time. I was like, oh my
I
God.
don't even know if I've ever been to Rodeo Drive.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't like, I mean, it was all like above my pay grade.
Mine too. That's why I've never gone.
um,
Yeah.
but it was just really cool to see like those iconic stops. We broke
Uh-huh.
down in West Hollywood. I guess they call it WeHo now.
Yeah.
And my dad, who is like the most straight-faced, don't talk to me kind of human being you could ever meet, like
Yeah.
had popped the hood to my car. I was driving a Jeep. I remember this like yesterday. He popped the hood to my car to see what was going on with the engine and what we needed. And as he was like looking at the engine, there were these two girls across the street walking, and they called out to him, and they're like, "Ooh, Daddy,
Oh no.
need a little help with your car?" And my dad just like got so red, and my mom and I were just dying. This is like puts him in the most awkward, uncomfortable position that he could ever be in. But
Uh-huh.
it was hilarious. So
Yes.
funny. He that was the one memory of us going through LA that I'm like, oh, well,
Yeah.
it's
We're
funny.
like a suburb outside of Los Angeles, but they do a lot of filming out here. So like there's been some scenes from like The Office have been filmed here. There's like NCIS stuff that have been filmed here. There's like a hidden, I don't really, you can't really see it too well, but there's this one canyon and it's like this filming site for like, I think it's for like Disney, but the way that it is, it's like there's all these bushes around it. So like you just see like a little snippet of like these little buildings. It's like right by my house. So like yeah, there's a lot of filming that goes on here. And did you ever watch the show Weeds?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay, it's like based on here. And then the Santa Clarita Diet is like I didn't
I
really watch
I
that, but
saw a
that's here
few
too.
episodes of Santa Clarita Diet,
Yeah.
and I too didn't get that into it to get past like two episodes. Um, but that's actually like the first thing that goes through my head whenever I see an email from you come through or something, is the Santa Clarita Diet.
Do you want to know something else real quick? So I
Yeah.
grew up in Palmdale, which is like 45-ish minutes. And do you remember, did you ever know who Afro Man was?
Yes. Yeah.
He's a Palmdale, come back to me. Do you remember that song?
No, I don't
Just like,
remember that.
oh, everyone knows it. Anyways,
I
he's from
don't.
Palmdale and he had a song. And so that was like our national anthem as
Maybe
kids in high
maybe that
school.
should be the song we go out on for for the
I think like 15 seconds is like not a licensing issue.
oh.
I'll have to look into that.
Well,
That's
you can
funny.
you can sing it as our outro then.
Yeah. I'll have to I'll text you the song because it's funny. But yeah.
Yeah,
What
we'll have.
is your favorite thing about where you live?
Oh, ooh, I love, gosh, and it never gets old. I have moments in time where I'll just be driving down the road and I look up and I see snow-capped mountains that are like
Ooh,
45 minutes away from me.
I wish we had those.
Um, and it's like blue skies, sunny here, and then I look up and it's just like the sun is radiating on these beautiful mountains. And knowing that I have access to them at any given time whenever I want, it's
Hmm.
pretty awesome. I love the outdoor life and the recreation scene here. I feel like
Yeah.
you and I come from two very different styles of environments, where you're
Mhm.
like the concrete jungle and I'm like
Yeah.
fields and recreation and trees and grass everywhere.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's one of my favorite things about where I live. It
Yeah.
the winters can be a little harsh sometimes. Like we got down
Hmm.
to like 8 degrees the other day and I was sitting there laying in my bed not wanting to move at
What is
all.
the temperature right now?
Oh, it feels fantastic. It's 56.
Okay, it's 84.
God, that's dreamy.
Sorry, I saw it and I was like earlier today, I was like, I have to ask her what the temperature is there because I'm not adapted yet and I'm sweating.
Oh, yeah, our low is 37 and our high is 59. And the crazy thing about where I live that I didn't even realize is we get a lot of and you guys probably might also relate to this. The wind here gets pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we get, I mean, I learned a lot with the fires recently over there.
Yeah. It gets
Uh,
windy.
but we get some pretty strong winds over here, which I did not expect at all when we first moved here.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's great kite flying weather.
Is that one of your hobbies?
No, I've actually never flown a kite here. So it's
Okay.
just But I think about it every time I have a windy day. I'm like, oh, she could have
Yeah.
hike.
No, the fires were crazy. Like there was a fire. It wasn't like anything in Pasadena or anything, but like the Palisades. But during that time, near the end of it, we did have a fire that popped up, but it was in like a not populated. Like I had some friends that had to evacuate, but it didn't like burn down any houses or anything.
Mm.
Um, but we have fires here all the time. I'm pretty sure that when we had that mutual client, because the agent, I don't want to say, she was just not, I don't know, she didn't know how to work a lockbox. And so there was like a fire that had broke out right by his house. And it was
Oh.
so bad. Traffic was backed up, and she left the key in the lockbox with the lockbox wide open. So it was so
Oh
smoky, and I
my God.
had to like drive. I lived like 10 minutes from him, but because of all the traffic, it took me like 45 minutes to get to his house to just like lock it up because she just didn't know how. But yeah, the fires had broken out that time too. I feel like
Oh
it's
my
always on
God.
fire, but this recent time was very, very bad. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be very
Yeah,
stressful.
she was like, I didn't, and it was like a basic combo box. Like it wasn't like a computerized like Supra. It was like you just put the code in and pop it open. She didn't know how to
My
close it. I
dog
was
is
like,
my bear. Sorry.
it's okay. I was like, how do you work? I don't, anyways,
Oh,
but
yeah, maybe she
yeah,
got nervous.
I don't know. The fires had not broken out when that happened. She told me like 2 hours later about it, and then I had to go. She
No.
was, yeah, having issues. Um, okay, so let's see. What else should we discuss? What
What
are
was
your
on our
hobbies? What?
Oh. Oh, my hobbies.
Yeah, what do you do for
Well,
fun?
this is kind of weird. Um, I will substitute teach once or twice a month.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's I don't do it very often, but I'll do it at my kids' school
Oh
just to
my
make
gosh.
life easier. So I'll do that like once or twice a month, and I have a blast because I love working with kids. If I had it my way, I would be an owner of an outdoor recreational camp, because I grew up on those things and I loved it. But they're so hard to find these days. And then
Mm-hmm.
when you do find them, they're so expensive to send your kids to. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I looked into managing one or directing one, the pay just did not, it
Yeah.
did not, it was not like I was going to owe more in student loans per month than I would have made per month, um,
Yeah.
with that industry. So that would have sucked. But yeah, so that's kind of like one little, I would consider that a hobby because I do it for fun. And
Yeah.
then I mean I have kids, so a lot of my time is
Yeah.
like filled with like if I'm not working, then I'm probably doing some sort of sporting event
Yeah.
or like outing with my kids just to get them outside. Um,
Yeah.
but like right now it's snow season, so like snowshoeing is fun. We'll go
Oh,
to
I've always wanted to do that.
You should come snowshoeing. It's
I want to do
awesome.
it.
Um,
Yeah.
so snowshoeing is fun, or we'll go to the mountain and go snowboarding or skiing on Friday nights. That's fun. Um,
Mm.
I don't know, like my hobbies are really like either kid related or work related. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of I think that's just the phase of life that I'm in right now.
I think so. It's adult life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
what about you?
I have been trying to have hobbies the last 2 years because I felt like I did not have any. Um, so this will be my second year now trying to grow vegetables in my backyard and having a vegetable garden. Last year was a disaster. I fought squirrels for months. So hopefully this time goes a little bit better. I recently got a Kindle, and so I've been reading a lot. I was so excited about it that I tried to find a book club to join because it just sounded like fun. But I couldn't find one, so I started one. So that's another one. And then I've
Which
been
I
making
think is amazing.
it was actually super fun. Like you should do it. I was nervous because I put it out on Instagram and I was like, whoever wants to come, like, I don't know. And I got like so many messages. And then one of the girls that I know, like I told everybody, I said, if you have a friend that wants to join, like, I don't like the more the merrier. she brought in like 5 other people. So I think there's like 20 people in this like Instagram group text. 8 of them showed up, but they only knew me. And I was worried it was going to be very awkward, but they were all very, I think they knew they were coming without knowing anybody. And so they just talked and there was no awkward moments. It was like 3 hours long. I mean, it was just perfect. So we have our next meeting on March 30th. And we're reading The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden, which I'll have to say at a later date what my opinions of this book are, but I don't want to spoil it. Yeah, and then my other thing that I'm doing right now, so I'm trying enough things, is I'm making a temperature blanket. So that's why I'm like very into the weather right now. And so every day I'm crocheting, you do 1 row for however long or wide you want your blanket to be. And each temperature range, I'm doing 10-degree temperature ranges. It's color coded by the temperature. So like today, yesterday and today are the hottest days we've had so far. And we got into the 80s. So I get to like break out a new color. So that's been my
Ooh.
thrills of life.
I just have
Granny
to
hobbies.
say that I freaking love how you were like, I want to join a book club. I can't get into this one. I'm just gonna start my own. And then you started with your own, and it's just like you've already got 8 people into it, and you
Yeah,
can.
they came and they were like, 3 of them didn't read the book. So, well, one didn't read the book
That
at
would be
all,
me.
which we don't care. And then 2 of them, the book we chose, it was called The Invisible Life of Addie LaRoe, which was like super popular, I guess. Like my sister had told me like it was all over. I don't have TikTok, but it was all over TikTok and stuff. The first like 200 pages were so boring. One girl came and she was like, I just need convincing to finish this book. And we're like, no, like after that, it gets better. So it was funny just to laugh at like, it was okay. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'd recommend it, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, do
Well,
it.
it sounded like it was fun. Anytime I can have an excuse to have people over at my house and have a good
Yeah.
time, like all about it.
Yeah,
All
just like eat snacks, maybe drink wine or whatever, and just like chit chat and laugh. So it was cool.
yes.
I'm very
I,
excited for the next one. Yeah.
I'm excited for you for the next one.
Yeah. Let's see.
Uh,
What else do we got? What's
well,
you go?
no, you go. I was just thinking off the top of my head.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I told you to make a list. Um, what is the median sales price in your area? Do
Oh,
you
that's
know
an excellent question.
off the top of your
It
head?
depends on what part of the area we're looking at, because
That's how we are.
huh?
That's
That's
how
how
it
you
is here
are?
too. Like it depends on like how it's broken up. I would say as like Santa Clarita as a whole, we're like in the 800s. And then in the Antelope Valley in Palmdale, Lancaster, Palmdale is like 500s. You're in the 500s and Lancaster's like the 400s. So you can, it's much more affordable if you're willing to be an additional 45 minutes away from
Okay.
Los Angeles.
That was my next question. Like, what's the different distance between each of those
Hmm.
pockets?
Yeah. So like I am right. I live very close to the freeway. I'm like on a good day, like 30 minutes from downtown LA. On a bad day, it'd be like over an hour. But so if you go to like those areas where I grew up, um, it's probably with traffic might take you 2 hours depending. Like my sister, she travels for work a lot and she lives in Palmdale Lancaster area. And when she has to go to the airport because we fly to LAX, she will literally like stay the night at a hotel because she's like, I'm not waking up at 2 in the morning or whatever and driving all the way and doing it. So it's a little bit of a distance, but a lot of people will move out there just to save some money. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. We are in Redmond, our median, like not the average, but the current middle ground is like
Hmm.
630,
Yeah.
which is blowing my mind because when I moved here, the average or the middle ground was like 250 or 300. And that was back in 2019. So from
Yeah.
2019,
Whoa. Yeah.
yeah, 2019 to 2025, we've gone up a whole lot, a
Yeah.
whole lot. Now, when you start looking a little more north, like will operate in this town called Terrebonne. Everybody thinks it's Terrebonne. It's Terrebonne, in case
I
anybody's looking
thought
at
it was
moving there.
Terrebonne.
Uh, yeah, it's down. It's like 575,
Yeah.
580. And then of course you have Bend, which is where everybody wants to live. I
Mhm.
personally prefer Redmond over Bend. Um, and the other, also, people think there's a huge price difference between Bend and Redmond, and it's actually not that bad. Like Bend right now, the median is around 695,
Mhm.
700, when, when Redmond is not that far away from it. What did I say? It was like 650 or something like that.
Mhm.
It's not a big difference considering how the difference between the two towns. Because Bend is like very more towards geared towards the city life versus
Mhm.
Redmond is still kind of that small town feel, which I love about it.
Yeah.
But we're only 12 miles apart. So
Okay, I
there's
was
not,
gonna ask how far.
yeah, we're not far apart at all. Like the gym that I work at is just south of downtown Bend.
Mhm.
And it takes me 26 minutes to get to the gym.
Okay.
Uh, so, I mean, driving to and from, that's a long drive when I'm driving to and from, but um, it's not that big of a difference when it comes to like if I need to go to a Trader Joe's. I don't mind driving 20 minutes to go to Trader Joe's. It's
Mhm.
in my me time between myself and my kids. And so,
Yeah.
and then Terrebonne is like 10 minutes north at the most.
Okay.
But yeah.
Is your
So
Trader Joe's parking lot also like super small? Like how like all those Instagram I thought something it was like the Trader Joe's like I can't remember a parking lot architects or something and they were like
teeny
joking
tiny.
about like how tiny it was. Is yours really
Ours
small?
is ours is like it's a standalone store,
Uh-huh.
but it is also in the same uh parking lot area as a strip mall. So it's got like probably a standard Trader Joe's size parking lot right in front of it, but it's attached
Mhm.
to a strip mall. The parking lot
Okay.
attached to the strip mall. So we have a ton of parking for it. But the store itself is, I never get over how small they are. It is
Really?
such a small store. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
we have one in Valencia, which is like in our valley, but probably about 20 minutes away. And the parking lot's terrible. And I've just been like, I will not go there. Um, if like at all. They opened one up and I live right by the freeway, so it takes me like 8 minutes to get there. And I have to send you video. It's the most spacious Trader Joe's I've ever seen.
Really?
Even the aisles have breaks in them, so you can kind of weave around. And it's like next to a Lowe's hardware store. So like the parking lot is huge, but that's the only one I've ever seen with like that much space.
Oh, and how far is that from your house?
Like 8 minutes. I just
Oh,
hop on the freeway and then hop off at like the next exit.
oh God, that's
It's
awesome.
great. I know. I was like, well, I guess I'll start going. And then they're going to open up a Sprouts like right outside my neighborhood. So I'm like, great. Like I'm set.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
To get back to real estate, because you had this question on our list and I loved it. What keeps you in the industry, knowing how tough it can be and how grueling it can be sometimes? Like, what keeps you here?
Yes. Because 9 years is a long time. It's like high school twice plus one extra year for freshman year. I besides this, I've never kept like a job for like that. Like I was in banking for like 4 years, and then before that, I just like get bored, get new jobs, whatever. I really like that it mostly goes with your schedule. It's not as flexible, I feel like, as people think
Think it
it
is.
is, but it is flexible. I can take a vacation more or less whenever I want to. I've, had escrows while I've been out of the country before I had my daughter. So I really love that. And I like just it's like fun to help the people. Like it's just fun. Like even if I've had it's okay. I'm wondering
Sorry.
if if I'm wondering if my dog's gonna bark too. He's upstairs. Um, but like it's just fun to help the people. Like I just like it. Like it's so satisfying and there's always something new to learn. Like I feel like there's so many different ways to like do marketing, or like now we have like this. I feel like you can do anything you want. It's just cool.
Excuse my dog.
You're fine.
He heard somebody walking up to the door.
The
He has to protect us at
Amazon
all
man.
costs.
Hmm. What
Um,
about you?
I similarly, like very similar answers. I agree 100%. Like the flexibility, especially with having kids.
Hmm.
When we moved here, we didn't have anybody to help with the kids, so having a job that allowed me to pick up my kids and drop them off. When I first moved here and started, I was dropping off one kid at 8 o'clock, dropping off another kid at 9 o'clock, picking up one kid at noon, and picking up another one at 3:20. And I can't think of any job that will allow me to leave to go do those
Hmm.
drop offs and pickups. But
Yeah.
that was the state that I was in, and that was the season of life that I was in, and it was just a part of it.
Yeah.
Um, and so I love having that flexibility that I don't have to ask for somebody's permission to go pick up my kids. I
Hmm.
love that I don't have to ask for PTO if I ever need to go home. And I say home, I mean like back to Texas for
Yeah.
something. Like I love being able to manage transactions or work with clients on the fly when I'm literally in between traveling. Uh,
Yeah.
I get frustrated with the downside with all of that flexibility is like it comes at a cost in the sense that most people want to see homes on weekends or evenings.
Yeah.
And so, especially when my kids start sports, it's going to get difficult because if I want to watch their games, I'm going to have to work my calendar availability around that.
Hmm.
Um, but it's just a part of it.
Yeah.
It's the, the push and pull. I don't think there's ever going to be any job in the industry that's not going in any industry really that's not going to like have a con or without a pro or a pro without a con, like stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
just the nature of the beast.
Yeah. It's just like, what's important to you? And like,
Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah.
I have to admit, I learned the hard way right when I first started. I was on a team and it was one of the highest producing teams in Central Oregon. I won the Keller Williams Triple Platinum Award in my first year.
Ooh.
Is you did a certain amount of volume in a
Hmm.
time frame, which was awesome. I got very busy very fast and I had a lot of experience right off the bat. But
Yeah.
that was also the point in my life or in this industry where I realized how easy it is to put my clients and my business first over my kids and my family, my husband.
Yeah.
And there was a good period of time where I remember I had 6 clients in escrow at the same time. I had was answering phone call after phone call one evening, and
Hmm.
um, responding to emails, and I just had so much to do. And
Hmm.
I looked. My son at that point was not even 2 years old, um, and my husband needed me for something, and I remember looking at him while I'm on the phone, and I was just like,
Yeah.
and he gave me this look, and I've never forgotten it, and he'll deny it every time. But he gave me this look, and that was the moment that I realized, oh my God, if I keep this up and I keep
Yeah.
this pace up, I'm going to end up divorced and living single because I am prioritizing my work over my family. And
Hmm.
I think there's a conversation that should be had with agents sometimes about how easy it is for that to happen because you
Yeah.
don't think about like truly when a buyer that you've been working with calls you and says, hey, I like this house, I want to go look at it, and they're pre-approved and they're ready to pull the trigger, and you get stuck in some sort of like it always happens like when you're about to go somewhere or you're about to do something, they always call then, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
my God, you really do have to drop everything to
Hmm.
try and get everything for them solved and seen and touched, and like you want to do everything to make them realize like, yeah, I'm with
Yeah.
you. I'm gonna get this. We're gonna get you under contract.
I
Let's go
know.
right now.
It is hard. Like I do feel like it takes time to learn boundaries or like, you taking care of something at like I've had agents even, and I used to respond to them because I'm like, I just want to be available. Like texting me at like 9 o'clock at night. Like there is nothing that we're gonna solve at 9 o'clock at night. There's nothing. Escrow is closed. Like we don't have to have these conversations right now. I mean, I've had agents call me on holidays and stuff, and eventually, like, I had to learn, like, no, like you have to have some
You
boundaries, or
got
else
you
it
have
will
yeah
rent,
you
and you'll get burned out.
Yes, and I think that's kind of what happened to me at one point is because I literally remember laying in bed and looking at my phone, and it was 1:30 in the morning, and a client was calling me, and they didn't call just once, they called multiple times.
Mhm.
And I had this moment of like, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have the mental capacity right now to answer any question that you might have about a property or the transaction.
No.
I am half asleep. And
Yeah.
so I've learned the hard way that I need to create boundaries,
Yeah.
because it's, as much as I don't like to say it, a lot of clients, either they don't realize it or they just don't care, will take advantage of your availability.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part, I think, with the industry in general, is sometimes is that you're constantly trying
Hmm.
to balance. If you have a family, you're trying to balance your family time and your work time. Like, I want to prioritize
Yeah.
my kids and my husband, but I also want to make my clients feel like
Hmm.
they're the only ones that I'm working with, and that's where
Yeah.
it gets a little difficult.
I
That's where
felt
it gets
like,
difficult.
yeah, no, I felt like I couldn't say for the longest time that like after whatever 8 o'clock or something like that, like I don't answer my phone. And once I started saying that with new clients, they're like, okay, great. Like, you know what I mean? But like, if you don't, like, in the beginning, you just like want to make everybody so happy. And you think if you don't respond to them right away, even if it's 10 o'clock at night, like they're going to be so mad. And it's like, and sometimes I think with text messages, I've learned, like, I think people kind of just treat them as emails where they're like, I'm just going to send this now while I'm thinking about it, not actually expecting a response right away. But then I'm like, I have to get to them, like freaking out. But it's not, I don't think that that's what they're trying to do sometimes. Not some of them, maybe, but most people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Have you
yeah.
ever like looked at your email? I don't do it anymore. I have a rule now if I'm like wake up in the middle of the night, but I used to like wake up in the middle of the night and like check my email because I like couldn't sleep or something. And it'd be like some just email that again I couldn't like solve right there. And then I just lay in bed like stressed out. Like
Oh, yes.
I used to do that.
Any like, if it's an email that is addressing a potential issue with a purchase or a sale that I am in the middle of, yeah, I will lay awake stressing about. I
Yeah.
mean, it's hard not to stress in all of
No,
this.
yeah.
I am thankful for my friend Molly in this industry, because I literally asked her the other day, because we had something going on in a transaction, and I was like, I was frustrated and I was stressed out, and it really was out of my control.
Mhm.
I can't even, at this point in time, I can't even remember what the issue was. Um, and I called her up, and I was like, how are you so calm right now? And she was like, well, I mean, what it is, dude. We're gonna
Yeah.
like, and I go, Molly, what's your sign? What sign are you? Because my husband is a Cancer, and I've got some friends that are like, they're super into the woo woo stuff. And I'm a Pisces on fire. They call me a Pisces on fire because I have a lot of Aries in me, according to my friends. Um, and I guess he is very mellow and really good at calming me down in high
Uh-huh.
stress scenarios. And Molly that day was just like, pulled the ultimate Allen and was just like, let me, what can you do about it? You can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not
true though.
create it. It's
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
issue. It's just part of it. And you just have to follow it. And I go, what sign are you? And she's like, I'm a Cancer. And I go, oh my God, that's why you calm me down so much. This is why we work well together.
I don't know anything about astrology, but
Oh, I mean, I live in Oregon and I lived in Portland. I have so many friends that are super into it. So I just rely on them to tell me my character traits and my sign,
yeah.
stuff like that. And it cracks
Yeah.
me up because some of them are so spot on. I'm like, oh, that makes
Hmm.
sense. And then the other ones, I'm like, whatever.
And I feel like you get to a certain point where you've dealt with like so many just like dumpster fire, even like situations that you're like, okay, this one's not as big of a deal, or whatever. Like you kind of like figure that out too, where I feel like I used to freak out when I was checking my email in the middle of the night. I would freak out about everything. Everything felt like you like, do you remember those feelings? Like it's just like, but
Oh, I still struggle with those feelings.
yeah.
And I struggle with them because it's like I've realized I'm kind of a control freak when it comes to real estate. Like I want to be able to
Yeah.
control everything. And you can't at
No,
all.
it's just because you like, I feel like you establish a relationship with these people and you want to like help them. Like you want it to
Yeah.
go so well. Even if it's not your fault, it feels like it's your fault. And it's like, sometimes it's like a roller coaster, I feel like, of
Oh, well,
emotions.
that's exactly what I tell my clients that are buying or
Hmm.
selling. I tell them like, here's the thing about real estate. It's an emotional roller coaster.
Hmm.
You're gonna have some super high highs and you're gonna have some super low lows, and
Yeah.
you're gonna freak out at some points, and then it all comes to an end. And when you get off the roller coaster, you're like, oh, okay, that was fun. Do
Yeah,
I want to
pretty
do it
much.
again? Not really, but that was good. I'm glad it's over.
But you
So
will.
yeah,
Yeah.
eventually. Yeah, it's fun. I like it when I have that conversation with my clients, and then at the end of the transaction, they're like, "Where was the roller coaster?" I was like,
You're
"Well,
like, I didn't tell you all the drama.
this was a good one. This was a good one."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyhow,
All
well,
right.
I think we covered a lot today.
I think so. I think I'm at a stopping point.
Awesome.
So maybe like 2 weeks from now.
We will do it. Yeah, I'm down. So,
Okay. This is fun. I was
I'm glad.
worried I wouldn't know what to say, but it went good.
I feel like it was
It's a new thing,
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did it. High five.
Boop. And
I got
real
to figure
quick
out how to
before
upload
we
it.
hang up, if anybody's out there watching and you need an agent in the Santa Clarita area or LA County, reach out to Kim. She'll post her
Yes.
information. And if you are looking to move to Central Oregon or relocate to Central Oregon, or if you are in Central Oregon and are looking to move or sell, buy or sell, just reach out to me. Our information will be at the bottom, or somewhere. I don't know where
I'll
we're
put it in
going
the
to
notes or something.
go.
Yeah.
It'll be, yeah.
Yeah. Just reach
And
out.
we're here to help.
Yeah.
So
So cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop recording now. Go
sounds
look up
good.
Afro Man Palmdale on Spotify, everybody. All
Oh yeah.
right.
I'm gonna go do that. All right.
It's a
We'll
good
see
one.
you later.
Bye.